Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me carefully. All right, let's get one thing straight before we even dive into this. Mental toughness isn't gifted. It's not in your blood, your DNA, your horoscope, or whatever excuse you're holding on to. Mental toughness is earned, built, crafted like a piece of art through discomfort, failure, late nights, early mornings, and most importantly, decisions. And let me be clear with you right now, if you're looking for some magical formula, some secret sauce that'll unlock mental strength without struggle, you're wasting your time. You build unstoppable mental toughness by doing hard things, by showing up when you don't feel like it, by choosing discipline over dopamine. See, the reason most people never get mentally strong is because they chase feelings, and feelings are liars. You don't feel like going to the gym. Guess what? That's exactly when you go. You don't feel like making the call, showing up, grinding for your business, studying one more chapter. That's your test. That's the moment where toughness is either developed or destroyed. Mental toughness starts the moment you start keeping promises to yourself. That tiny voice in your head that says, I'll wake up at 5 tomorrow. And you do, not hit snooze, not I'll try, you do it. You act, that builds trust with yourself, and once you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Let me ask you something. How do you expect to dominate life if you can't even dominate your morning? We live in a world where everyone wants it easy. Everyone wants the hacks, the shortcuts, the cheat codes. Let me break it to you, the only hack that matters is outworking your old self. The only shortcut is facing the hard things faster. The only cheat code is outlasting everyone who quits when it gets uncomfortable. Every time you feel resistance, that's the invitation. That's the moment where champions are built and average people stay average. Mental toughness is not about pretending you don't feel pain. It's about knowing the pain is real and still walking through it. You don't flinch, you don't fold, you decide to keep going every single time. Let me tell you what people don't want to admit. Discipline isn't sexy, it's lonely, it's quiet, it's waking up at 4 a.m. when everyone's asleep. It's doing reps when no one's watching. It's saying no when it would feel so good to say yes. And that's why so few people have mental toughness, because comfort is easier, but comfort is a lie. Comfort is the enemy. Look around, we have more access to opportunity than ever before. Free information, free tools, free education, and yet people are still stuck. Why? Because they're not mentally strong enough to push through the boring, the hard, the uncertain. Everyone wants greatness until they see what it actually takes. You want to develop unstoppable toughness. You've got to train your mind like an athlete trains their body, daily, intentionally. You need mental reps in silence, in chaos, in frustration. The way you respond to adversity determines your level of toughness. You had a bad day. Good. Now show me what you do with it. You got rejected. Excellent. Let's see if you still show up tomorrow. You failed. Perfect. This is where we see who you really are. Not the curated version, not the motivated you, but the one who's tired, broken, doubting everything and still moves. That's what separates the great from the forgotten. Your response in adversity, your energy when it's hard, your grit when no one's cheering. Do you understand how rare it is to be the person who doesn't quit? Mental toughness isn't about pretending you're a robot. It's about emotional control, emotional ownership. When you stop letting your environment dictate your mood, when you stop letting other people control your reactions, you've leveled up. You've taken your power back. You can't be mentally tough if you're still trying to please everyone. You can't be mentally tough if your confidence dies the moment someone criticizes you. You can't be mentally tough if every little setback derails your momentum. This is about accountability, full accountability, no more blame, no more if they didn't do this, or I wasn't supported, or life is unfair. Guess what? It is unfair, but that's not your excuse, that's your edge. Life doesn't owe you a smooth ride. It gives you the arena, and it's your job to fight every single day. You've got to fall in love with pressure. You've got to chase challenge. You've got to look at discomfort and say, I'm exactly where I need to be. And listen, mental toughness doesn't mean being hard all the time. It doesn't mean you don't feel things. It means you feel everything and choose to keep going anyway. It's and not or. It's crying and still showing up. It's doubting and still executing. It's being scared and still walking toward the fire. Every time you train your mind to act against your weakness, you win. Every time you hold the line when others fold, you win. And over time, those wins stack, and you wake up one day and realize you've become unshakable, but it doesn't happen by accident. It happens through choices, micro decisions, choosing not to scroll when you should be building, choosing not to vent when you could be learning, choosing not to compare when you could be creating. You've got one life. That's not a motivational quote, that's a fact. One life. And how you train your mind will determine what that life becomes. So when the alarm goes off and your bed feels warm, move. When your fear says don't try, try louder. When your insecurity says stay small, go bigger. This is the process. You are building a weapon. A mind that doesn't fold, a spirit that doesn't break, a heart that keeps beating even under pressure. And here's the truth, most people won't get it. Most people will think you're crazy. Most people will try to pull you back into comfort, into safety, into average. But when you're mentally tough, that noise becomes fuel. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need cheerleaders, because the mentally tough don't wait, they decide. And once you decide, you become unstoppable. You want to know what separates the winners in this world. One word, resilience, not talent, not luck. Not good vibes, resilience, the ability to take hits, to get knocked down and stand back up every time. No matter how bad it hurts, no matter how long it takes, because that's what this game is. It's not about how you feel today. It's about how committed you are long after the feeling is gone. And the ones who win, the ones who truly develop mental toughness, they're not chasing motivation. They're building identity. They are the type of person who doesn't quit. They are the type of person who shows up every day, no matter what. That's how you develop unstoppable mental toughness, by refusing to stop, by embracing discomfort, by doing the hard thing again and again until it becomes who you are. That's the work. That's the path. That's how you win. Would you like a transcript version formatted for print or presentation? You want to build that fire, you've got to stop outsourcing your mindset. Stop waiting for a perfect playlist, a motivational quote, a sunny day. Start becoming the source. Create your own momentum. Be the person who brings the energy, not the one waiting for it to show up. Every single day is a test, not once in a while, not when you feel like it. Every day, and most people are failing that test before 8 a.m. because they're choosing comfort, hitting snooze, checking their phone, drowning in distraction before they've even made one powerful decision. You want mental toughness. Win your morning, win your time, win your focus. Let's talk about focus for a second. Focus is a superpower. It's rare now, you know why? Because we're addicted to noise, addicted to escape, can't even sit still for 5 minutes without looking for a screen, and then we wonder why our mind's weak. You've got to learn how to sit with yourself. Build discipline in silence. Find clarity in chaos. Mental toughness is about learning to suffer well. Yes, suffer well, not fake it, not run from it, but learn to breathe in pain and breathe out purpose. It's about looking at the grind and saying, let's go again. Not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because your vision demands it. And you refuse to be the person who gives up when it gets hard. People love to talk about purpose, but purpose without toughness is fantasy. It's a dream with no backbone. The moment life throws a punch, you'll fold, and life will throw punches over and over. Loss, failure, betrayal, setbacks, all of it's coming. Mental toughness is what keeps you standing in the middle of that storm. It's what allows you to build in the dark. You think you'll get to where you want with motivation. That's not gonna cut it. That's like trying to build a house with a hammer and no nails. Motivation is a spark, but toughness is the structure. And if you don't have the structure, your house falls the second life gets windy. Start building structure. Build rituals, habits, guardrails, daily disciplines that don't rely on emotion. Whether you feel like it or not, you do it, and every time you do, you build mental armor, not overnight, but brick by brick, decision by decision. Stop lying to yourself about tomorrow. Stop giving yourself an escape hatch every time things get uncomfortable. That's what's been holding you back, not the market, not your circumstances, your inability to do hard things consistently, your pattern of quitting when the pressure shows up. Pressure is the currency of greatness. Get comfortable with it. Make it home. The people at the top, they didn't get there avoiding pain. They ran toward it. They learned to perform inside it. You think elite athletes don't feel fatigue. You think CEO don't feel doubt. You think leaders don't question themselves. They do, but they execute anyway. That's the standard. Execute anyway. When it's hard, execute anyway. When you're tired, execute anyway. When no one believes in you, execute anyway. When it's slow, when it's boring, when it feels like nothing's working, execute anyway. Because toughness is built when you stop waiting to feel ready. It's built in action. Reps, 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 unseen effort, unsexy consistency. And let's get this clear, being mentally tough doesn't mean you never break down. It means you don't stay there. You feel it, but you don't feed it. You get back up, you move, you create momentum, because momentum is a decision, not a mood. You've got to kill the victim in your head, kill the excuse maker, kill the version of you that's always waiting for better circumstances. That person's keeping you broke, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even financially. That person is soft, weak, and every time you choose to listen to them, you trade your power for comfort. You know what's scary. How many people are okay living with regret because it's easier than discipline? They know they've got more in them. They feel the fire, but they smother it with distraction and mediocrity. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the one who burns for more, who bleeds for the vision, who refuses to die with potential still in the tank. If you want to become unstoppable, then you need to master your state, not just your goals. Everyone's got goals. Few people have control over their emotional state. When you master your state, your energy becomes your weapon. You walk into any room and own it, not with ego but with clarity. With presence, with certainty. That's what toughness looks like, not loud, not arrogant, certain. You know who you are. You know what you're building. You know what you stand for, and that's unshakable. That's the kind of person people follow. That's the kind of person the world can't ignore. And don't get it twisted, mental toughness doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. The waves still come. But now you surf. The weights don't get lighter, but now you're stronger. The storms still hit, but now you stand. So the question isn't, how do I make life easier? The question is, how do I become harder to break? How do I become a fortress, a force, a leader in my own life? And the answer is always the same. Do the hard things again and again and again. No secrets, just standards, no luck, just reps, no excuses, just execution. You know what most people never realize. That their breakthrough was just one more rep away, one more day of consistency, one more disciplined decision. But they stopped. They let emotions win. They let the noise win, and they start over again, wondering why nothing changes. That's not a motivation problem, that's a mental toughness problem. And you fix it by cutting the cycle. You fix it by deciding that from this moment forward, your word to yourself means something. You stop negotiating with your feelings and start honoring your commitments. You stop chasing intensity for one day and start choosing consistency for 100. People out here want 10x results with 2x effort. It doesn't work like that. You want 10x impact, put in 10x focus, 10x discipline. 10x patience, that's mental toughness, showing up when it feels like no one's watching, when the results aren't instant, when your mind is screaming for comfort but you stay locked in. And here's the thing, every time you show your mind who's in charge, it listens. Every time you do what needs to be done regardless of emotion, your identity shifts. You go from someone who tries to someone who executes, from someone who wants to someone who wins. That shift is everything. That's the beginning of unstoppable, but you've got to be willing to be obsessed, not casually interested, obsessed. Obsessed with getting better, obsessed with winning the battle in your mind every day. Obsessed with building the kind of internal world that no external storm can shake, and that's rare, because most people are obsessed with being liked, being comfortable, being entertained. That's why they stay stuck. They keep pouring energy into things that drain them, things that take without giving anything back. Meanwhile, their potential's sitting there, waiting to be unleashed. You unleash it by making different choices. Not once, always. You build a mind that doesn't break by doing things that challenge it, stretch it, threaten it. That's where the gold is. When you're uncomfortable, when you want to run, when everything in you says quit, but you lean in. You don't run from the burn, you look it in the face and say, let's go. Because that burn, that's your growth, that resistance, that's your next level, that pressure, that's your refinement, and most people never touch it. Because they stop at discomfort, but not you. You've got to be different. You've got to want it more than you want to be liked. You've got to love the process more than the praise. You've got to value progress more than people's opinions. Mental toughness is earned in the dark, in the early mornings, in the reps that no one claps for, in the sacrifices no one sees. It's built when you keep showing up long after the excitement fades, when you keep driving forward long after most people would have pulled over. You want to win at a high level, start acting like it. You start working your way there by simplifying, by stripping away the fluff, by identifying what matters and doubling down on it obsessively, not dipping your toe in, not half committing, but burning the damn boats and going all in. Because the second you give yourself an exit, your mind will take it. That's what weak minds do. They scan for escape routes the second it gets uncomfortable. You want unstoppable mental toughness, then delete the backup plan. Make the mission the only plan. Let people call you crazy. Let them misunderstand you. Let them think you're doing too much. They're not supposed to get it. It's not their vision. It's yours, so protect it, guard it, show up for it like your life depends on it, because if we're being real, your future does. And that future isn't built by luck. It's built by grit, by showing up when you're under pressure. By taking action when you're scared, by building when it's inconvenient. That's what separates the average from the elite, the ability to stay locked in even when nothing makes sense. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being relentless. You're going to fall, you're going to mess up, you're going to have days where your head's not in it. But toughness means you don't let that stop you. You don't camp out in failure. You don't spiral, you recover fast, you take the lesson and keep pushing. That speed of recovery, that's one of the biggest signs of mental toughness. Can you take a hit and keep moving? Can you get bad news and still do the work? Can you face criticism, doubt, negativity, and still believe in what you're building? That's the standard, that's the level. People spend too much time managing perception instead of building reality. They want to look tough, sound tough, post tough, but when it's time to execute, they fold. Don't be that person. Be the one who's undeniable, who doesn't just talk about it, but is about it, who doesn't rely on hype, but is powered by discipline and vision. That's real strength, when you don't need the lights, the audience, the applause, just the work, just the purpose, just the relentless refusal to quit. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you widen the gap. Between you and who you used to be, between you and your competition, between you and every version of yourself that wanted to stay small. That gap, that separation, that's your power. That's the proof that you're becoming something most people don't have the guts to even chase. And you keep stacking that proof by doing the reps, by running into the hard stuff instead of away from it, by making hard conversations, hard training, hard days your advantage, your playground, because you don't want to be the person who only performs when it's easy. You want to be the one who rises when it's chaos. Chaos is your cue, resistance is your signal, pressure is your green light. That's how mentally tough people operate. They don't avoid adversity, they adapt in it. They bend reality with discipline. They redefine what's possible because they're not operating from fear, they're operating from ownership. And ownership doesn't care about blame. It doesn't waste time pointing fingers. It asks one question: what can I do about it? That question builds leaders. That question builds winners. That question builds minds that don't fold under stress but get sharper because of it. That's the kind of toughness that changes lives, not just your own, but everyone around you. Because when you become the person who doesn't break under pressure, people feel that, they trust that, they follow that. You want to be a leader, start by leading yourself when no one's watching. You think someone's coming to save you. They're not. The cavalry's not coming. No one's going to hand you greatness. No one's going to gift you that next level. You either build it through relentless action, or you stay wishing for it while someone else gets it. You've got to kill the fantasy, this idea that success is supposed to feel good all the time, that you'll feel inspired every day. You won't, and that's the point. The reason mental toughness is so rare is because most people spend their whole life chasing feelings instead of chasing mastery. Chase mastery, master yourself, master your mind, master your emotions. That's the foundation. That's what makes you unshakable, not some magic trick, not some shortcut, but raw, boring, beautiful discipline. And when that discipline compounds, when it stacks day after day, year after year, you become a different animal, a different force, the kind of person people can't ignore, because your consistency speaks louder than anyone else's hype ever could. You don't even need to talk anymore. Your actions echo, your presence commands, your standards raise the temperature of any room you walk into. That's what toughness buys you: a gravity, a momentum. A presence that can't be faked, and people will ask, how'd you get here? And the answer will be so simple it'll piss them off. You'll say, I didn't quit. I did the work, every day, especially the days I didn't feel like it. Because that's the difference. Not talent, not background, not connections, consistency under pressure. That's the separator. That's what the real ones have. That's what you're building right now with every rep, with every choice. With every minute you own your time instead of giving it away to excuses. So here's the truth: everything you need to become unstoppable is already inside you. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or someone to validate your worth. It's about choosing every single day to be the kind of person who doesn't make excuses, who doesn't flinch in the face of resistance, and who doesn't settle for anything less than their highest standard. Mental toughness isn't a gift, it's a decision, it's a lifestyle, it's the quiet, ruthless, disciplined grind that no one sees and everyone eventually feels. You want to be great, build it in the dark. Sharpen your edge with consistency, get obsessed with getting better, stay locked in, no matter what's happening around you: storms, setbacks, failures. The mentally tough don't break, they adapt, they rise. And most importantly, they keep showing up. That's who you need to be, not for anyone else, for you. Because when you develop that kind of mindset, when you build a mind that doesn't flinch, there's not a damn thing in this world that can stop you.